and reading whatever I've written recently and lately. No, but I've honestly had just a huge immersion in this idea over the last 2 days, and I've written a lot of pages from the last video. And so in this video, I'm going to try and jump right into it. You've all heard the description in previous videos if you've been watching. If not, welcome to the channel. I hope you subscribe and like if you like it. Um, I'm going to be reading real briefly from my new novel that I'm working on. So this is kind of like you're reading it and listening to it in the process of me writing it, which could be kind of cool to people if you want to journey along. I kind of find that idea to be cool. That's why I'm doing the videos. And also I take so I can get the audio down of this. That's why I kind of want to cut out a lot of the stuff of me talking like this. Anyways, appreciate y'all that show up in the chat. Feel free to get some artistic conversations going. Appreciate everyone that's subscribed recently. And we're already a minute into this, so I'll start getting going. All right, in the last where we left off, our narrator was talking about how he's maybe some sort of other personality in the back of our main character's mind, the artist's mind. And that's where he's coming from, and that's where the audience's viewpoint maybe is coming from. And describing about how he wants to get his ideas through the artist's pen onto the page and into the world and that sort of thing or whatever. But that's just an introduction to kind of how we're able to read the narrator's point of view. But what he was really getting across in that last few pages that we read was that the artist's most recent endeavors had been trying to get a piece of work published. So trying to get an article in a paper or a magazine, the way writers do, the way I've personally myself never had done. So we've jumped into like kind of describing that about his most recent endeavors, about trying to get an article written. Maybe he's moving away from painting. Hang on 1 second. Let me get a little sip of this. Cheers to everyone out there that's, I don't know what's allowed on here, but we'll be having drinking and smoking and reading and talking about art. Welcome to the chat. Anyone, feel free to get a conversation going. Appreciate y'all being there. I'm going to get right into it. So this is the article that the artist has written, and we've kind of cut to that. And this is called CANOPY FAIR. And by the way, this is going to be quite a bit of reading we're going to go through. I'll probably stop right after CANOPY FAIR, see if anybody's in the chat. We're going to get through chapter 1 today, and we're going to move on into chapter 2. There's been a lot of writing in the last 2 days. It's been crazy. I don't know. I'm like really getting into it, and like this is going to be a piece that I'm going to try and complete. So if you're here, you're along for the ride, and this will be like a daily reading, hopefully. I mean, this sort of thing, you people showing up would help keep me going with this kind of approach to writing the novel. It's kind of like the old-fashioned series, the way they used to do it. Old novelists, they would come out with just a little bit at a time and keep you waiting like a series for the next day, kind of like how we do with modern TV shows and that kind of thing. Anyways, all right, so this is the article that he wrote that he's had no luck with any publishers or newspapers or whatever. Anyways, CANOPY FAIR. CANOPY FAIR. Her horse wasn't the best horse, but it stood out the most. They were just riding in circles in competition. Clear blue day at the Deerfield Fair, which felt unnaturally warm for the occasion. I sensed something more powerful than life itself. It was an everlasting spirit of sorts, the type you see in young ones. But around the grounds there was something more ominous for adults. His shirts and hats and sweatshirts were everywhere, and crazy-eyed, big, plastic-breasted and faced women prided themselves in having bought the merchandise early. He had just died, and money was to be made in Christ's name. So I suppose it's understandable. I even saw shirts which the vendor described as selling out quick. Only two left. I laughed and walked and chose not to believe him. It was a sales trick, I said. Who would wear an alligator Alcatraz t-shirt in public? I'm getting ahead of myself, and as usual diverted in my thoughts with this strange mix of vulgar patriotism. I'd rather focus on the real story. Yes, sausage subs and bison burgers and pulled pork sandwiches are being made in close proximity to the same livestock being adored by fairgoers only feet away, then being consumed. And sure, I wondered if the large horses at the honest horse pulling competition were enjoying their day of triumph or failure, or if they were in misery by the weight of it all. Their strength was amazing and aesthetic. You could imagine a great Roman chariot behind them. Their eyes and tongues told an untold story as they trotted by. I suppose my wonderment started even before our strange social experiment of a ticket line, which devolved into a mess of waiting fairgoers, as a few ticket windows randomly shut, leaving lines congested and confused, even tricked. But my hope in humanity arose when a sort of yielding and cooperation amongst the jumbled, and a type of honesty and generosity emerged, perhaps out of necessity or fear of social faux pas. And still there were those who bowed their heads in shame, pretending not to notice they were more important, and disturbed the invisibly agreed upon order of fairness by cutting the line. But none of this was to ruin the mood for anyone, for as I stated even before this democratic line appeared, the ride into the fair, which many years can be an hour and a half wait in traffic, fingers and toes were always on the line in every pull. I sat with my annual Sam, Joe, and Ed's sauce covered in mustard, awkwardly trying to eat from my place in the stand. The next group of riders came fox-trotting in. I didn't notice our heroine at first. I noticed her horse was different, and they rode different. And I suppose it was the second time around I noticed it. It was her hand holding the reins, or lack thereof a hand, but still carrying on as one with her beloved horse, carrying on undisturbed of their difference, with such a sense of ease and joy and courage and pride, the good kind. I thought of how she may have come by the horse. I thought of her family, her parents. Had they seen the joy it brought her and her ability to thrive in life through this? Had they worked many long hours to afford the third-placed horse, clearly underclassed, but built with the heart of many? I thought of her struggle and her will, and being too old for carnival rides, and never having the stomach for them anyways. The time like out would be longer than the traffic in. As we made our way through the exits, my last thought was of melted butter with cinnamon and powdered sugar on fried dough. That's the end of the Canopy Fair section. Thanks y'all for hanging on, sticking through it with me. I don't know if my camera was might have been all over the place while I was reading that. Michael Richards, hey. Bobby, hey. Jennifer, hello. Thanks all for tuning in. We're moving on to the next section, and this is where it kind of comes right out of the Canopy Fair section. And we've got a bit of reading, but we'll see how it goes. Hang on one second here, actually. I might want to have another sip of this. That's right, Pabst Blue Ribbon, if you want to sponsor this literature, I'll take a case or two or whatever. People underage or whatever. All right, so now we come out of Canopy Fair, and that's just an example of the author's writing that he's trying to get across, I guess. And we get back basically into the novel. We'll continue on. You have to play the game, or something of it. Look at all the people who are successful. See how they're doing it? Buying up ad space, and a new modern form of self-involvement or indulgence. I'm speaking out loud again. I shouldn't let these narcissists take up my time. That's their aim. I've got more important things to do today. For myself. Finally, some work. I don't even believe in anymore. Just a phase. Just a different face to play. To see what it brings. I guess they're good enough. I don't know. What's the point, right? Show the piece good enough. But that only satisfies you and no one else. Selling. Selling bits of yourself for worth in others' eyes. Then she'll say you're good enough. Then you're worthy of another life, one of closure, fulfillment. She's that silhouette or the hope around every corner. She turns your eyes from the sunset. She makes you think that's what God intended. Bzzz. It's Theodore Lessing. He hit the button to let Arling. She'd been a big help recently in setting up the art show decor and layout for the works. She'd gotten an art degree, after all, to be an art curator, and was very good with organizing such things as events. He had just started to think on a new idea, where words would be from and the would figure what had in the spaces. And he could write a few lines like this for fun, not to spoil the whole project. He'd set this idea aside, maybe to remember later, as now his attention would be all spent on R.A. He met her at the apartment door, pre-opened, as to see her coming up the hallway. R.A. was always dressed well and took good care of herself. She had a strong sense of self-worth, but he also knew her secrets and some of the inner workings. Are you going to get dressed today? I plan to shortly. Uh-huh. And brush your teeth? Maybe shave? You know you look better clean-shaven. Show your true face. It's 10 years younger. I'm gonna bring these. She grabbed the collection of paintings from his hands. Down to the space and set up. We should be all set for tonight. I have to run up to the pitch. We're gonna sweep off the courts and do a quick ladies' dubs at noon. Then picking up Gray. And we'll all see you tonight. This meant R.A.'s husband would be coming to the showing, which was fine. After an early interaction in their first meeting, he'd always had a very healthy respect for R.A.'s new man. He was a good father and leader in the community, and he himself had always shown a high measure of respect to Bryce. Shave, okay? I think it's going to be a good event. We'll have snacks and drinks for everyone, music. which I've choreographed. Just don't drink or anything too early. I can see you've already smoked. R.A. finally noticed the cries of the man next door. She looked puzzled, made a hand gesture of goodbye, and walked off, not to be bothered. Blondes, he thought. Why had it always been blondes with blue eyes? There had been a production line of them for him throughout his life. Lately, it had been the opposite. Dark hair, dark eyes, which spellbound him. But it must have been something deep in the recess of his memory which triggered it. Or was it an always has been that way thing, like a young Bill watching The Postman Always Rings Twice? Yellow and blue, he thought. Works in a painting. He went back in the apartment and started to do all the things one is supposed to do to get ready for the day. There was a goal to the end of this day. There was an extra level of seeking. Nothing instantly would happen from it other than the affect. Still, plans were set for a good time for all, and hopefully his friends wouldn't believe him to be too crazy. He'd sold a bunch of works privately, but this was a chance to show something, a small glimpse of something, the thing he'd been wrestling with, the so-called human condition. End of chapter 1. Thank you all for who are still hanging on. You know what? I'll probably end this live session right here. I have a bunch more to read, but let's save that for the next time. We got to the end of chapter 1. Everyone that commented, everyone that hit the like, everyone that subscribed, appreciate you. We're going to keep doing this every day, so feel free to get it this wash over. Appreciate y'all for being in here 6 times if you want to. That's kind of the goal, a little bit Bruce. James Joyce and sleep.